Okay, and so the idea again is that traditional heterosexual masculinity, right, was presumed to be the norm. So when you have people in positions of power that reflect that quote unquote norm, it affirms the norm and then gives authentication to the idea that that norm should be maintained, right? And so everything is done to ensure that those individuals who are in power maintain that power. And that is affirmed and authenticated not just through the social structures, but as we'll see, through violence, right? Violence against those who would interfere with that privilege. And, again, there are going to be lots of examples, but I think it's important to understand that there is often a hypocrisy that goes into these types of structures and forms of violence in how they're applied, right? So just thinking of current events, right? Women's reproductive rights are, very much a central issue right now, especially with the current nomination for the next Supreme Court justice, potentially, having views that Roe v. Wade should be overturned, right? These types of things. And I think it's important to understand that the very white Christian, in this case we would probably say upper class heterosexual men who have been against women's right to choose over their own bodies have often been found to have encouraged their mistresses to get abortions, right? So the idea is that they're advocating for positions publicly that help to keep women in an inferior position by ruling over their bodies, yet those structures and those positions don't accurately reflect their beliefs, let alone their practices, right? They're willing to make all kinds of exceptions in their own personal lives to maintain their own superiority while taking this different public face to assert others' inferiority. Okay, so hegemonic masculinity is not just the idea that only these types of men, right, have power, but it then goes further to legitimize the dominance of those men over women, as well as, and this is right branching off of earlier forms of femininity, also legitimizing their dominance over other marginalized men, right? So a hegemonic masculine structure is not just going to say that a certain type of man is in power, but is going to be utilized to justify the inferiority of men who don't fit that image. So this would be men who are not white, not Western, again, not Christian, not upper middle class, not heterosexual, not able-bodied, right? And I'm sure the list can go on and on, right?